Welcome to the Empty Nest Kitchen, where we're finding fun in the kitchen now that the kids have flown the coop. I'm Christine Van Bloom, a cooking teacher with over 25 years of experience, here to show you tips, tricks, and joy in your kitchen, all while trying something new. Let's get cooking.
Well, hey there. Hi. Hello. I'm here today with Pam Stultz of Housewives of Frederick County. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Christine. How are you?
Oh my gosh. I am so happy. I love Pam's story so much. Pam, tell everybody what you do.
So I am a lifestyle blogger, or what they call us nowadays is content creator. And I have been running my blog, Housewives of Frederick County, since 2012. I started it with my twin sister just for a fun thing to do together. And we ended up monetizing it, several years down the road. I write about like local things to do, best restaurants, Frederick, Maryland, weekend activities, events, recipes, just you name it. I write about it if it pertains to Frederick or lifestyle. So
I love that so much. So it's really a hyper-local blog.
yeah. Yes.
And what I love about this is you are a recent empty nester,
Yes.
but you started this when your son was young.
Mhm.
And you have been going with it. And by focusing all of your resources, your target market, your message, everything is super clear and super defined.
Thank you very much. That was not on purpose. It was because I'm not a marketer by nature or by education, and we just did it, because we loved it. It's just a passion.
So one of the things that I'm going to be doing with the podcast, and you're kind of going to whet everybody's appetite for it, is in January, I'm going to do a little bit of a focus of empty nest women owning and starting businesses.
I love that.
Because I think it's the perfect time. And hasn't it kept you really occupied as you've been dealing with the new empty nest?
Oh my gosh, it's been a lifesaver, actually. I mean, I'm 3 months into an empty nest phase, and I struggle because my son is my only child, and so to switch almost, it seems like overnight, from full-time mom to, I need to leave him alone and let him figure things out. Having my business has been such a great thing for me to keep me occupied.
Isn't it so weird to go with them living in your house so that, you want to give them space, you want to honor what they're doing, and you don't want to be on them all the time?
Yes, and it totally goes against my grain. I've always been very hands-on mom. Some would say overbearing, and
Aren't we all, Pam? Aren't we all?
but it's like a fine line between overbearing and, just being there as his mom. And now that he's 19, it's like he can't come running to me because he fell down and scraped his knee.
Yeah.
I always call myself home base. Whenever he was hurt, he would look for me and beeline it to me. Now he doesn't do that, so it's kind of like I have to know what the line is between reaching out and checking in on him and, just being too much and letting him figure it out himself.
Yeah. Do you have any rules or any agreements with him about him contacting home?
Well, so we started with Sunday FaceTime calls. And so we were doing that, but I was texting him kind of too much during the week. And sometimes he wouldn't respond, and I'd be like, "Did you get that?" And he'd be like, "Yes." And, just very short responses. And I'm reading the book. It's called The Naked Roommate, Parents Edition, for parents only.
And
It's written by Harlan Cohen. He also has a Instagram page, and he gives great advice for college students as well as the parents of those college students. And he pretty much says, you got to let them figure it out and just kind of back off. And that's how they grow. So I'm really trying to stick with that, although it's been a challenge.
It is. I mean, listen, my son went to college a decade ago, so things have changed a lot since then.
Yeah.
And I think I was not a big texter occasionally, but I would try really hard to not. But we had to deal that we had to talk to him on the phone once a week.
Okay.
So it would be Sunday night at 9:30 and the phone would ring and we'd talk for 10 minutes. And what's the thing? And it was really hard, right? It was a really hard thing to do, but you're handling it like a champ and you're putting your energy into your awesome blog.
Thank you. I'm trying. I prepared. I have what you call anticipatory grief, or I had it. It was a year ago because I knew he was going to go to college, and I was like, I need to prepare for this in advance.
Yeah.
So I got a marketing coach, and decided I was just going to really take it to the next level and focus on growing what I have. So that's what I'm doing now, and it is kind of consuming me, but in a good way.
Yeah. Well, so here's the question. What made you start with this concentration of just being hyperlocal?
Actually, from the very beginning, Terry, my sister, she's my twin sister, she's an occupational therapist, and I was making jewelry at the time, stay-at-home mom. And we were like, we need to find a reason to get together and do something, productive. So we're like, let's start going to restaurants and writing about it. And let's take the kids to the park and take pictures and post about it. And so that's what we started doing. So it started hyperlocal in the beginning. It's always been about our lives, our existing lives. So we appeal to the people who can relate to us.
That's so clever. And if you were going to talk to a recent empty nester and you were going to say, they say to you, Pam, I'm going to do what you did, but I'm going to do it here in my town in Missouri because I have somebody in Missouri that listens. So they say, I want to do my town. What are the steps you would give them to start their own hyper local blog?
I would say create a website. And these days, so I started on WordPress and I'm still on WordPress, but I think there's other, like you had mentioned, you're on Squarespace. There's some really cool website platforms now that weren't available back then. But create a website that's kind of like your home base, and then create your social media channels. It doesn't have to be all of them. You don't have to be all over the place, like TikTok and all that stuff. I tried TikTok. It just wasn't for me. So create the ones that you're comfortable with. For me, my demographic is on Facebook. So that's like my biggest social media platform, and then Instagram. And then start creating email lists. So start taking email addresses immediately, because you're going to want to, they're your people, and they don't get affected by algorithms like Facebook and Instagram, and even Google changes. So I was relying on ad revenue through my page views, through traffic to my website, and everything changed. My traffic just took a plunge this year. So I had totally relied on that before that, and that all changed, but my email list didn't. And so those are my people. I send a newsletter once a week and can put ads on the newsletter and direct people who are reading the newsletter to my blog posts. And that gives me traffic. And it's not even all about traffic and earning ad revenue and sponsored revenue. It's also just very rewarding. I feel like I have an impact on the community.
Yeah, I think that is the main point. I think if you're going to do something like this, you can't do it initially with dollar signs in your eyes. And I love dollar signs.
I do too.
I love them. Give me the pound, give me the euro. I don't care. Just give it all to me. But one of the things you said there is something I'm also really living by, which is you own your email list. And it's the only thing, your email list and your website are the things that are yours. Right. Everything else is reliant on someone else, right?
Yes.
Everything is reliant on, Instagram, they've changed algorithms, they've changed things, and it can really mess with people if that's where your center is. So when I think starting anything, having a really solid email list and then being devoted to your subscribers, like not always selling to them or,
Right.
but really focusing on giving them something that's worth clicking on.
Exactly. For me, it's always been about just be a resource. That's like my main focus, be a resource. And then if I want to throw in some, by the way, this business is, and I feel like that's a resource too, even though a lot of times it's sponsored, they're paying me to promote them. I feel like I'm being a resource to my readers by introducing them to this business. So it's a win-win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I love to hear about new places and new things that are opening. And
Yeah.
and I don't know. I bet you're a lot like me. I'm always like, I don't want to come off ever like I'm trying to sell something, like a group that push somewhere. I think it's being a true resource and really loving your audience, and you love on your audience.
Yeah, it's just, I've always been one of those type of people that wants to help someone out. Like if they have a problem they need solved, I want to help them. I'm called an empath, or people have called me an empath, where I almost carry other people's desires or worries or whatever. Yeah, it can get overwhelming, but it also can be so rewarding, because I just feel so good when someone says, where can I find a place to donate coats this winter? And so I created a blog post on coat drives in Frederick, Maryland. And it just feels good to be able to, like, if I see that question now, I can say, here's the list. And it just feels good.
I just think that's so valuable. I think what you do, as somebody who benefits from all of your good work, I think it's so valuable what you're offering. You offer a bunch of different sections, like on your website. I would say I would really classify Housewives of Frederick County as a true resource. You were really putting it out there. What are the different areas that you focus on? So being a community resource.
Yes, community resource is the main focus. Also, just a resource to women, and typically women my age, which is past middle age. Or I can't call myself middle age anymore.
We are middle-aged.
I'd be over 100.
No, we are middle-aged. I was talking to somebody, because the next one is elderly, right? Isn't that the next one? Right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And so I was talking to somebody. I was like, when am I elderly? Because I sure as heck don't feel elderly.
I don't either. I think
I don't know.
citizen, but I don't even want to call myself that.
I mean, that's 65. So this
Okay.
maybe you're a senior when you're 65. So
Maybe.
we are still middle-aged.
Okay. I like that.
I
I'll take that.
refuse. No, we're not seniors. We don't get any of those benefits.
That's true.
We don't get any of
true.
those 65 plus discounts, baby. Hit me with
Okay.
those. I cannot wait for dinner at 4:00. I love dinner at 4:00.
Oh my God. I do too. You don't have to deal with the crowds. You're
I love it.
done eating. You can walk it off.
Have a glass of wine in bed by 8:30. I love it.
It's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful.
Okay, so you're doing community resource. I know you were doing the restaurants really as part of that. You include recipes on your site?
Yeah, I did a heavy focus on recipes for a while, just because I love trying out new things, and it really took its own life on with the crab recipes. And I think it's because we live in Maryland. Maryland
Yep.
is crabs. A lot of Marylanders follow me. And so I started a crab recipe. Again, I'm not a marketing person. I'm not like strategic. I just will have a crab recipe. And it was always my highest reached post. So I was like, maybe I should make some more crab recipes. And so that's what I did. And that's what's carrying my page views, is those crab recipes, because Frederick is only so big, but the crab recipes anybody can, relate to and use. So that has been a big focus on my blog. And who doesn't love crab recipes?
But I think that's so smart. And Frederick is about an hour and a half from the Bay, maybe an hour 20. But we get crab super easily around here. It is fantastic. And just by being a Marylander, we have a certain amount of respect that is garnered
Totally.
with access to the crabs.
Yeah. And just memories. It brings back memories for me. Thinking about crabs reminds me of when I was in my early 20s, sitting at the table with my dad and my family, cracking crabs and dipping it in butter and drinking beer. And, those were the days. And it's every time I think of crab, anything, this brings good memories.
All right. So you've got the recipes. What other sections do you have on the blog?
Let's see. I do have Maryland because I was creating a lot of crab posts and I thought I need to do more Maryland related posts.
Super smart.
Yeah. So I have a post on iconic foods and drink to eat in Maryland. So it's a whole long list of just foods that you can relate to Maryland.
So great. You have an orange crush on there, right?
Totally. Orange crush, crabs, the Thrasher's French fries, lots of Baltimore type foods that are iconic to Baltimore. That was really fun to write. Really fun. And I got some, not on purpose, but I got this market in Baltimore sent me a bunch of their foods so I could try it. And because I told them they were going to be in my blog post. So that's a little benefit of, writing about other businesses.
That's so much fun. And okay, first of all, if you're listening and you have not had an orange crush, I want you to look it up. It's a quintessential summer Maryland drink, and it is way too drinkable. My friend Carrie and I have determined that 4 orange crushes, too many orange crushes. They're so yummy, and they make them with fresh squeezed orange juice. It has to be fresh squeezed.
It has to be fresh squeezed.
Has to be. And right now I'm like, maybe I'll make an orange crush tonight.
Yes.
They are so good. But what I love, Pam, is as part of your story here, you started this from your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And as you've gone through, you haven't been crazy strategic, like planning and guiding it to a specific point, and you have gone where the river has taken you, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's so amazing because you can listen to all of these podcasts nowadays that are all about the strategy, and I do have a little bit of a marketing background, right?
Okay.
And I think people get wrapped up in all of that and they don't go with it where the river takes them. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's also not as fulfilling because I was following I even had an SEO online tool that I would use to make my blog posts SEO,
Yeah.
And it felt robotic and it felt like, okay, now I have to write about this because this, people are searching for this. And so it felt very robotic and not fulfilling at all. And yeah, some of those posts did well, but in the end, after Google changed everything, it made me realize I need to do this from the heart, like you said, like as a passion and not to try to chase the money.
Yeah. And or can we talk about the money a little bit?
Sure.
So are you with an ad network now?
Yeah, I got into Mediavine. So my sister left the blog several years ago to start her own business. And so I decided either I'm going to just close shop or I'm going to put my whole heart into this and try to monetize this because I was spending so much money on it. So much time on it anyway, that I thought I should make some money from this. And so my goal was to get into Mediavine, which is an ad network for content creators. And so I started focusing on the crab recipes because I knew those would take off, and they did. And I got into the ad network, and it was a beautiful thing. All of a sudden I'm making money. Of course, it wasn't total passive income, but once you write the blog post and it takes off, then it feels like passive income because you're making money off of it every month.
Oh, how great is that?
Yeah.
How great is that? When you started, did you start with the idea of monetizing or no?
No. So we had known our girl who had started a blog and she was making money, and we were like, well, she can do it. We can do it. And but we had no idea how she did it. And we were just, at the same time, we were just having fun with it too. So it was kind of sporadic. Like, oh, somebody wants us to promote them. Let's charge them $50. And so we would make money here and there, and we'd have to split it because it was the two of us. So
Right.
basically nothing. But then once we realized, we had a platform that people were willing to pay to be on, we thought, let's get something formalized here where we can see how we can make money.
How did you figure that out? Did you work with someone, or did you start raising your prices?
Lots of blogger Facebook groups that I followed at the time were saying, I'm getting in a media vine, and I'd be like, what is this media vine and how are you getting into it? And so just the chatter online I would see. And now it's podcasts, just figuring out like a newsletter. You can monetize a newsletter. At first I was just writing it just, to be a resource, get to people to click back to my blog. But, businesses can really benefit getting in front of my readers. So that's a form of revenue. And so I've just kind of figured it out on my own, but also through podcasts, through Facebook groups, mastermind groups. I'm now in a Discord group, which I never thought I'd be in a Discord group.
What's Discord again?
Discord is like a message board type of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Did
it start with video games?
I think it did because my son was on it years ago, and I was like, what is this Discord? I had no idea what it is, but you have a channel that you have to be like invited into. And so I'm in a newsletter channel, and these people are local content creators from all over the country who do monetize their newsletters, and they talk about ways that they do it. So some of them are just newsletters. They don't have the blog or the social media. It's just the newsletter, and it's just local news to their readers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It's just amazing how, as things progress online, how you can be a resource and have a business online.
Well, and it sounds to me like you are very good at using your resources.
Yeah, especially now that my son is at college, my husband is working, I'm home with my dog and cats, and it's like, okay, I have time to really focus on this and hone in on it.
That's so incredible. All right. So what's your next goal for your blog?
I think the next goal is to get more subscribers to my email list. Right now, I have a banner on my website that says subscribe, and I get maybe like 20 average subscribers a week, which is pretty decent. But
that's really good, actually, for Hyperlocal.
Yeah, it's pretty decent, but a lot of them are for the crab recipes. So I need to figure that out. You have to like kind of segment your audience and stuff. So when I send a newsletter all about Frederick and someone's in California who liked my crab recipe, they're going to unsubscribe. So, that I have to kind of figure that part of it out to segment the audience and focus on getting Frederick subscribers who want to see Frederick content.
You are blowing my mind in so many ways. Did you ever see yourself talking about segmenting an email list?
Not at all. And I had heard it was noise in my head for so many years. Create an email list, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm working on Facebook and whatever else. I finally started, and now I see the benefit of it, and I love it.
Oh, it took you that long?
Yeah, it took me a while.
Yeah. When I owned the kitchen studio, I had an email list of, I don't know, between 4,000 and 5,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I never treated them right. I used it simply, times have changed, right? And kitchen studio's closed 4.5 years now. So times have changed, and I did it just as here's what's happening at the school, here are the classes, rather than keeping it a regular thing and doing, here's a great recipe, or, I didn't serve my audience. And now my email list, of course, is much smaller because you can't just take one list from one place and then use it for a new place. That's not
I
fair.
probably wouldn't mind.
Well, you know what I did? Because I am vigilant. I am crazy about the, not doing anything that would be sketchy.
Like,
And I was, the privacy. I just wanted to, I mean, it's all me, but if you signed up for my in-person cooking school, my online classes may not appeal to you. That may not be the
that's
thing.
true.
And menopause meal plans may not be your thing, right?
Sure.
So I sent out an email to everyone and said, hey, I've got something new and it's great and here you go, but you have to opt in.
Right.
And
That's the way to do it.
And then I sent them one more and I said, this is the last email you'll ever get from me on this list. Do I still have the list somewhere on my computer? Absolutely, I do. And I got more people to sign up and then I pushed it away because I don't want them reporting me as spam. And,
Right. No, that was the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Totally the right way to do it.
Yeah, I try, but I really value everyone. And I know you do too.
I do. Oh my gosh. So I do weekly newsletters and I used to be kind of sporadic about it, but now, I'm very consistent now, especially because I do have ads on there from local businesses and they rely on that. And so it keeps me accountable, but there's been times that I have missed a week and I always at least get one subscriber email me and say, do you have my right email address? I didn't get your email this week. Can you make sure I'm on your list? And so it's people, I have no idea who they are. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. That alone is feedback that is possible. So
yeah, that's so great. Pam, first of all, before I ask you your last piece of advice, what's your most popular crab recipe?
Hot crab dip. Maryland hot crab dip.
Everybody loves a hot crab dip.
Yes. And that was I think that was my first crab recipe. And it still outperforms. Cream of crab soup is up there, but hot crab dip does really.
Tell everybody what your website address is.
It's housewivesoffrederickcounty.com.
All right. Yeah, that's all right. You got to go through the long letters to get to the good stuff. So Pam's hot crab dip is on there and you can find it. Pam, what is your final piece of advice to someone who's in your boat? They're ready. They want to start something fun. They want to be dedicated to their readers. I mean, what's your advice?
Just jump in. You're never going to be totally ready. Just jump in. I've learned that over and over and over, when I've tried different things. Just do it. And if it doesn't resonate, pivot. Just keep pivoting till you find your sweet spot and you'll get there.
And that's the best advice.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people want to have every duck in a row and everything lined up. And you got to just jump in.
You do. And then you might be surprised. You might fall on your face, but get back up and try something else and it may just work.
Pam, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think you're handling this emptiness thing pretty darn well, personally. Might not feel like it, but wait until winter break. Then it'll feel like it.
Oh boy. Coming up soon.
Awesome. So I'll have all of Pam's information in the show notes so that you can find her on social, a link to the website so you can get that awesome hot crab dip. Hot crab dip is the thing around here, just so you guys know. But that'll link you to everything. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Christine.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Pam. You're a peach. And everyone else, stay awesome. And I will see you in the kitchen.